everyone, welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're visiting, this is the Diaspora Mall where I talk about everything Finland. So if this interests you, please consider subscribing to my channel. Also hit the bell icon so that you will always get notified when I post new videos. So today this topic is for everyone who is planning to move to Finland for studies, or you have applied for Finnish Universities of Applied Sciences during the past admission process, or perhaps you have been thinking to apply to Finnish universities but you don't know how much it could cost you to survive as a student in Finland. So this is for you. Just grab your coffee or take some popcorn, sit down and relax. This is going to be a really interesting one. So just a disclaimer before I start, this is not an official video telling you how much you need to come to Finland with. This is just me telling you based on my experiences. So if you really want to know how much the Finnish immigration requires you to have in your account before coming to study in Finland, I will leave the link for you below. So having said that, let's go straight to the topic. So I'm going to consider only those necessary expenses you need to make as a student. That means in this video, I'm going to cover your accommodation, your grocery shopping, furnishings for your student apartment, transportation, and of course your leisure. How much you spend on accommodation of course depends on where you live. If you live in big cities like Helsinki, so expect to spend more than you will spend if you live in the suburbs. For example, I studied in Salo. Salo is the outskirts of Turku. So for that reason, my rent was very minimal. So during my own time, I was living in a shared apartment in Salo and I paid 250 euros in a month for my room. And be aware that 250 euros is the only thing that you pay. So you don't need to pay separately for electricity or for water when it's a student apartment, except you have another arrangement outside the student apartment, then you might be required to pay those bills. And of course in my school, that student apartment was a little bit far from the school, like 3 kilometers from the school. We had another student apartment that was just a few meters to the school, and that apartment was less than 200 euros. Of course it was quite smaller than our apartment, but of course if you are in Helsinki, then you should expect to pay perhaps more, but I know that student apartments in Espoo can also pay below 300 euros. So let's go to grocery shopping. Of course, grocery shopping also depends on what kind of food you want to eat. If you are an international student and perhaps you're from Africa and you want to eat your native food, then expect your cost of grocery to go higher because those foods are expensive to buy in Finland. But let's do this based on the fact that you are eating only the regular food you find from the regular Finnish shops. So cost of food in Finland can also be less depending on how you shop. I'm not going to go into those tricks of how you can get food on cheaper prices, but I can do that in my subsequent videos. So now the cost of grocery, you can budget for example 150 euros to 200 euros in a month for your feeding. It could even go less depending on what you eat. During my own time, there about what I was spending on feeding. And if you want to know exactly what items cost in Finland, I have made about 2 videos on grocery shopping, and I will leave it here. Click the video and find out what items cost. So also there are places that you can get food for free here in Finland. So you can just go and queue up and you get food for free. So you can get as much as vegetables, a lot of vegetables, fruits, even bread. Previously you queue up, you show your ID card, you go there, you take food. But now during the coronavirus period, I don't know how it's working now. I don't think that people will be allowed to come there anymore and queue up. I don't know how it's working now, but of course they still operate. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell icon so that you get notified when I post new videos. Thank you. So let's talk about furnishings for your apartment. So of course, if you move into a new apartment as a student, you expected to put a little bit of furnishings in your apartment. So the cheapest way to go is to make use of the flea market. Of course, sometimes in student apartments you can find the bed frame. So you don't find the mattress itself, but you can find the structure. That's about all you find, and then you will find a table and a chair, and of course the wardrobe. So then that means you have to buy your mattress yourself and other basic things you need, like plate for eating, pots for cooking, and so on. And these things you can find even at no cost. There are some groups on Facebook that you can join, that you can get those things for free. People who have their own and they are not using it anymore, so they can give it out for free. You can join those kind of groups if you really want to minimize your expenses. And there is also Facebook Marketplace, where you can also get those things at a very cheap price. There are lots of flea markets, physical flea markets, where you can also buy cheap things for your house, and you will end up spending very little for all the furnishings in your house. And I actually recommend that if you don't have so much money to spend, because most of the time when you graduate as a student, you start working and start making money, then you can start furnishing based on your taste. Most of the things you used in your student apartment, you find out that you don't make use of them anymore. So it's just better to, buy those things and live a minimalistic life as a student if you can't afford a luxury life. So also, let's go to transportation. So transportation also depends on where you live. So if you're living in the small cities, there are chances that from your house to your school is a walking distance to the city center, where you find the grocery shops. Everything is a walking distance to you. So in that case, you don't need to spend anything on transportation, except of course you are going outside of the city for one reason or the other. So that was my own case. My school everything was nearby. I don't have to use the bus to go anywhere. So I never needed to buy any bus card. But of course, if you live in cities like Turku, Helsinki, Tampere, and other big cities, then you may need to have a bus card. But don't worry, the bus card is subsidized for students. So let's assume that you're buying a bus card for Helsinki, only for the Helsinki region. Then the normal bus card for a month is about 63 euros or thereabout. And as a student, you get 40% discount. So that means you pay really less on transportation. So let's go to leisure. So if you're here as a student, don't expect that all the days of your life, don't expect that all the days of your student life you're going to study and study and study. There will also be need for you to, give yourself some rest, take some break, especially during the weekends. And during my own days, even during the Wednesdays, we usually take some breaks, so in that way the week is not too long for us. So if you're coming to study nursing, for example, nursing requires intensive studies, intensive learning. You have lots of assignments, you must attend classes, you have a lot of group works, you have a lot of presentations to make in class, so you have a lot to do during the week. So it will be good to also make provision to relax yourself in the weekend, so when you start a new week, then you start afresh. So it won't be that expensive also, even though if you want to party, the cost of partying could be on the high side, but students look for a way to make a minimalistic party. Group of friends can gather, make some food and drink, and just cool off, so whatever you think you can use for your leisure, make sure to leave a small amount of money for that, because you would really need some leisure activities. In summary, guys, during my own time, I spent about 500 to 600 euros in a month, and that was enough for me as a student. And remember that that was because I was living in the suburbs. I wasn't paying transportation, I was walking to school. So that's about it for today. Thank you guys for listening, and next time I am going to talk about whether you can sustain yourself by working in Finland, and how easy it was for me to get jobs in Finland, how I got job as a student in Finland. Those will be the topic for the next video. If there is any other thing you want me to talk about that I didn't mention in this video, so leave the question in the description box below. I will check it out and I will include it in my subsequent videos. Thank you.